What's going on, YouTube? So right before we get started, don't forget to click like and subscribe, and also don't forget to check out the merch store. So with all that out the way, let's talk about the Nikon D850 versus the Nikon Z7II. Both cameras cost roughly the same amount, except sometimes the D850 always goes on sale. It's like $2,500 here and there, but you get the picture. They're roughly around the same ballpark. Now, in terms of size, obviously, DSLR will always be heavier than the mirrorless system, so just keep all that in mind. Now, in terms of the flip screen and the screen in general, you get the OVF on the DSLR, you get the EVF on the mirrorless Z7II, and we know the difference. The OVF, no blackouts and lag, EVF, blackouts and lag. Now, in terms of the flip screen, you get the 3.2-inch monitor, and the D850 is slightly more detail, so that's something that people should definitely take note of. Now, both systems do have their touchscreen, and the Nikon D850 came out roughly around 2017, whereas the Nikon Z7II came out roughly around 2020. Both systems do have BSI, and in terms of IBIS, only the D850 do not have the IBIS. Nikon Z7II do have the IBIS, so that's a big difference right there. And also the Dual XP5 is on the D850, whereas the Dual XP6 is on the Z7II. So that's one generation difference, right? So there we go. Now, in terms of video, definitely a D850 is 4K 24p up to 30p, whereas the Z7II, you could shoot up to 24p up to 60p, and also you could get an external monitor, an Atomos Ninja, and you could shoot up to 10 to 12 bits. So that is something for you guys to definitely take note of. And also there's line skipping. So keep that in mind. There's line skipping, but you could still shoot up to 10 and 12 bits. So there you go. Now, in terms of megapixel, both systems do shoot 45 megapixel. And in terms of face detection, definitely the Nikon Z7II has 493 versus 153 on the D850. And they both have ISO 64. And here's the low light sensitivity. And also the media usage. Both systems can use CF Express and also UHS-2 and also XQD. Yes, you could use XQD. Wow. For those people that are still using XQD, here is a quick sample side by side XQD versus CF Express. And as you can clearly see, XQD is kind of, it's slow at the end. Yeah, CF Express is the future. So hopefully you guys that own the XQD, CF Express is pretty good. Now, this is the difference between the continuous shooting. Obviously you get a battery pack for D850, you get more frames per second, but most of you guys rather just see the actual shooting in action rather than just seeing charts. So let's take a look at them side by side with the same CF Express cards. So now, here is continuous high with the D850 with the CF Express card. Here is the Z7II continuous low with the same CF Express card. Here is the D850 versus the Nikon Z7II. And as you can see, there are high peaks in the slap of the D850. It's pretty high, so that's something for you guys to definitely take note of. Now here is the D850 at continuous high with the same CF Express card. Here is Nikon Z7II continuous high with the same CF Express card. And as you can see, Nikon Z7II seems to be more consistent than the D850, and also there's still those high peaks of slap noises with the shutter, so that's something for you guys to definitely take note of. Now, here is the D850 at continuous high with the same CF Express card. Here is the Nikon Z7II at continuous high plus with the same CF Express card. By the way, I'll flip the cameras for some reason, but anyways, definitely the Nikon Z7II has clearly a big burst, and then it seems to buffer and then comes back alive, but that's just something for you guys to definitely take note of. Now here is the image quality test. I'll be quite honest. This is the part I'm going to tell you guys that it looks the same to me. I don't see any difference. I'm using the same lens, 50mm 1.8G. I don't see any significant difference. There's no big jump in my test. I don't see nothing here. Here's a second sample. Maybe the Z7II greens are slightly a hair tad brighter, who knows? But overall, I don't see much of a difference. But if you see any difference, definitely leave your comments down below. And here is sample number 3. I don't see much of a difference. Yeah, it looks more or less the same, right? And here is sample 4. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say, but I'll let you just look at the sample. And yeah, there we go. There you have it. In my honest opinion, if you're shooting at the same subject and you get the same exposure, correct exposure, you should have more or less the same image. More or less, right? Now, let's do some dynamic range tests. Now here's the first sample. I'm basically shooting underexposed and lifting up the shadows. And it looks more or less the same. I don't know what to say. It looks the same to me. Here's the second sample. Looks more or less the same, I guess. Yeah, let me leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'm using the same exact lens, same exact settings. Everything is the same. I don't see any difference right there. Here is the third sample. Maybe the greens, I don't know. You tell me. There's no big difference. There's no like wow difference here. Usually my tests, you can see a huge difference. I don't see any big difference right there. Now, here is a fourth test right here. And I'm trying to give you guys something, right? I'm trying to give you guys something. I don't see anything. It looks more or less the same. So then I sat there and I thought about it. Why not just push out the highlights, push out some of the whites, see what happens. And there you have it. Look at that. The Nikon Z7II will give you more highlights, more details in your dynamic range files than the D850. Where look at the D850, it seems to struggle a little bit when you're pushing the highlights and the whites of the file. And therefore the Z7II XP6 will give you slightly more benefits in that area. So there you have it. That's the biggest difference. The highlights, crazy enough. So if you're shooting in low light scenarios, definitely the Nikon Z7II will give you the extra push in the highlights, whereas the D850 is not going to give you that. So there you have it. Now, here is the ISO test. Here is ISO 64, 100, 400, 800, 1600, 32, 6400. There you go, 12,800. I mean, yeah, there's no big significant difference. It looks more or less the same to me. But if you guys did see something in the test, definitely let me know down in the comments below, of course. So just to wrap things up, the Nikon D850 versus the Nikon Z7II, both systems has their own pros and cons. The Nikon D850 is a DSLR, so it has a better build, better battery life, and also it has the OVF. However, there was something that annoyed me about the D850 that I had to sell that off, and that's the shutter clap. If you go shoot wildlife, right, you might be okay shooting at the zoo. You might be okay shooting with a bunch of people going on tour, seeing like a goose or something or an owl or something. You might be okay. But if you're like me, you go deep down in the forest, you're shooting with hunters, you might get two things at you. A rifle at your face or verbal abuse. One or the other due to the shutter clap that's scaring the ducks away. It's annoying. And people have told me that on the field. Anyways, for the Nikon Z7II, I mean, you get the fantastic eye tracking, you get the Z glass, it's compact, it's lightweight, you get a dynamic range. But here is the biggest problem with the Z7II, and it has to go back with wildlife shooting again, and basically it's the EVF and lag. When I'm tracking the birds, I always have to over predict that shot. I'm never in the moment. That kind of hurts. I'm always behind time, so that is something that people need to understand. When I click and click and click, I'm shooting a second behind. So I'm over predicting the shots. It's annoying, I can't stand it, but if you're shooting like portrait photography, people walking around, you should be perfectly fine. But if you're doing something really quick, you will experience that EVF lag. Yes, the Nikon Z7II is always behind the moment, along with the Nikon Z6II and every single mirrorless Z system out there except the Nikon Z9, which I did pre-order and it's on back order, so I don't know when that's coming in, but from what I was told, maybe 8 to 9 months, which is, yeah. That's a segue. The D850, Z7II, they have their pros and cons, but we're in that period where the Z7III is coming out pretty soon. The Z9 should be coming in, and I can't wait to take a look at the Z9 versus the Z7II, but that's gonna be another day. But anyways, thank you guys for checking me back. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely click like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one, all right? Take it easy. Peace.